Welcome back to Beyond the Surface, the podcast that takes you deeper into conversations that matter.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us.
It's great to be here.
Today we're going beyond the surface of forgiveness.
Oh, that sounds deep.
It is.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about letting someone off the hook or, anything like that.
Right.
We're diving into the impact forgiveness can have on you.
On your mental well-being.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think of it as a gift you give yourself.
Ooh, I like that.
A way to break free from past hurts.
Because let's face it, holding on to resentment, that's like,
It really is.
imagine you're carrying around this really heavy backpack and it's crammed with all this anger and all this resentment.
Oh, yeah.
You're just lugging it around. Can you feel that weight like on your shoulder?
Absolutely. I think everybody has felt that at some point.
Totally. And the thing is, it's not just a metaphor.
Right.
It's literally affecting you physically. And so unresolved anger is keeping your body in this constant state of stress.
Oh.
We're talking elevated cortisol levels,
Oh.
the stress hormone, and that can disrupt sleep and blood pressure and even weaken your immune system.
Really?
Yeah, there's a researcher named Dr. Fred Luskin.
Okay.
He heads up the Stanford Forgiveness Project,
Wow.
and he's done some incredible research on this
How cool.
and found that people who practice forgiveness actively
Okay.
experience a huge reduction in their anger and anxiety.
Mm.
They even reported less physical pain.
So it's not just like feeling better?
Yeah,
It's actually like your body is functioning better.
exactly. It's having a real impact.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and what's even more interesting is that oftentimes the person that we think we're punishing with our anger doesn't even know.
Right.
They have no idea.
They're probably off doing something else.
Exactly. They've moved on.
Totally. And it's not just a metaphorical weight.
No, it's not.
It can manifest physically.
Oh, absolutely.
On our last episode of Beyond the Surface, we were talking about the importance of self-care.
Yes,
Well, forgiveness fits right into that.
it really does.
We have research showing how unresolved anger can lead to increased stress,
Yes.
high blood pressure.
Uh-huh.
It can even mess with your sleep.
It's true.
Just imagine waking up without that knot of anxiety because you've let go of some resentment,
Yeah, towards that coworker who took credit for your idea or something like that.
Exactly.
It's amazing how our bodies respond to these unresolved emotions.
It really is.
Studies show a direct link between anger and a heightened state of alert.
Really?
It's like your body is constantly preparing for a threat
Oh,
that might not even exist anymore.
It's like we're trapping ourselves in
Yeah.
a cage of our own making.
Exactly.
This reminds me of Sarah's story.
Oh, Sarah.
She was holding on to so much resentment after a falling out with her sister.
Oh, no.
She avoided family gatherings and felt this bitterness,
Yeah.
every time her sister's name came up.
Wow.
For years, she thought she was punishing her sister.
Yeah.
But really, she was only hurting herself.
Of course.
It wasn't until she started therapy that she realized forgiveness was about taking care of herself,
Right.
not about fixing things with her sister.
It's not about the other person.
Yeah.
Sarah's experience is so relatable. It highlights a crucial point. Forgiveness is an act of self-care.
Yes.
It's not condoning someone else's actions.
Exactly. What's incredible is how letting go of that anger had a real tangible effect on Sarah.
Yeah.
Her sleep improved. Her anxiety decreased.
Wow.
It was like a weight had been lifted.
That's amazing.
This is where it gets really exciting for me. The science of letting go.
The science.
It's not just an emotional thing. Forgiveness actually changes what's happening in our brains.
That's right.
So tell me about that.
Well, when we forgive, we reduce activity in the amygdala,
Right.
which is like our brain's security alarm, constantly scanning for threats.
So forgiveness is like hitting the snooze button
You could say that.
on that alarm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
By engaging the prefrontal cortex,
Okay.
which is responsible for rational thinking and decision-making,
Uh-huh.
forgiveness helps us regulate our emotions, making us less reactive to those triggers that might have sent us spiraling in the past.
So we're calming down our brain's overactive security system. But there's more to it.
Right.
I remember reading about how forgiveness impacts cortisol levels.
Yes. Studies show that forgiveness lowers our cortisol levels,
Okay.
which is the stress hormone that floods our bodies when we feel threatened.
And chronically elevated cortisol that's linked to a lot of things, right?
Now, it is everything from heart disease to autoimmune disorders.
Wow.
So forgiveness isn't just a feel-good thing. It's a proactive step towards better health.
Wow. That's a powerful connection. So we're not just talking about feeling better emotionally,
No.
but potentially preventing serious health issues down the line.
Exactly.
I think a lot of people listening are probably thinking, okay, this all sounds great,
Right.
But how do I actually do it?
Yeah, how do I forgive?
How do I forgive?
Yeah.
Especially when the pain feels so huge.
It's a valid question.
Mhm.
Forgiveness isn't a switch you flip.
Right.
It's a process.
Okay.
And it starts with acknowledging the hurt.
Okay.
You can't forgive what you don't face.
That makes sense.
Take some time to journal or talk to a trusted friend. Or simply sit with your emotions and allow yourself to feel the pain.
So we need to really process what happened instead of trying to bury it.
Exactly. Then consider shifting your perspective.
Okay.
Is holding on to this anger actually serving you?
That's a good question.
You might find that the only person you're hurting by holding a grudge is yourself.
It's like we're choosing to stay trapped in the past when we could be moving forward.
Precisely. And this next step can be tough,
Okay.
but it's crucial practice.
Empathy. Empathy.
Try to see the situation from the other person's perspective.
Okay.
What might they have been going through?
Yeah.
This doesn't excuse their actions,
Right.
but it can foster understanding, which is a crucial step towards letting go.
Understanding instead of judgment.
Right, and don't forget about forgiving yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
We can be so hard on ourselves.
We tend to hold ourselves to impossible standards sometimes.
We do. Self-forgiveness is essential for emotional well-being.
Yeah.
Remember, you're human. You make mistakes.
Mhm.
And those mistakes don't define your worth.
That's a good point.
Oh.
And finally,
Yes.
don't hesitate to seek support if you're struggling.
Please don't.
Therapy support groups,
Yes.
even talking to someone you trust, can be incredibly helpful.
Absolutely.
We don't have to go through this alone.
You don't.
Forgiveness is a journey, not a destination.
It is.
And we've all got different starting points.
That's a great way to put it. Small steps, one at a time.
Now let's shift gears and talk about David's story.
Okay, David.
He was a successful entrepreneur,
Uh-huh.
but behind that success, he was battling anxiety and burnout.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't stemming from his current work.
No.
He was rooted in resentment he held towards a former business partner
Okay.
who betrayed him years ago.
Oh,
He
no.
carried that hurt for years.
He did. It was affecting his well-being in profound ways.
Yeah.
It wasn't until he started actively practicing forgiveness in therapy
Right.
that things started to shift for him.
Uh-huh.
And the changes were remarkable. He became more focused, his health improved,
Wow.
and he was even able to rebuild trust in his current relationships.
That's incredible. It sounds like he finally put down that heavy backpack
He did.
and freed himself from the burden of the past.
Yeah.
And this wasn't about condoning what his ex-partner did.
Right.
It was about David choosing to heal and move forward.
Exactly. David said something powerful when we talked about his experience.
Oh, what was that?
He said, "Forgiveness didn't change the past, but it changed how I felt about it." And that made all the difference.
Wow, what a great quote. His story perfectly illustrates how forgiveness can have a ripple effect, positively impacting so many areas of our lives.
It really does.
It's a great reminder that forgiveness is about reclaiming our power and choosing peace over pain.
It truly is.
So we've talked about the burden of resentment,
Yes.
the fascinating science behind letting go,
Uh-huh.
and even practical steps to take.
Yes.
But I think it's crucial to reiterate that core message.
Okay.
Forgiveness is a gift to yourself. It's about reclaiming your power, taking control of your emotions, and choosing peace over pain.
You got it.
And remember, you don't have to make grand gestures.
No.
Start small.
Mm.
Maybe today you let go of a minor grudge, or maybe you take the first step toward forgiving yourself for something you've been carrying around.
Every small step is a victory.
Absolutely. And speaking of progress, we're going to take a short break.
Okay.
But we'll be right back with more insights on forgiveness and its incredible power to transform our lives.
I can't wait. You know, when we talk about forgiveness, there's often this misconception that it means condoning or forgetting what happened.
Yeah, that's so true. I think that's one of the biggest hurdles people face. It's like they think forgiving someone equals saying what they did was okay.
Exactly. And that's not what we're talking about at all. Forgiveness doesn't mean saying what happened was okay or that the person who hurt you shouldn't be held accountable.
Right.
It's about releasing yourself from the grip of anger and resentment. It's about choosing to shift your relationship with the past.
So instead of letting the past control our present,
Yeah.
we're choosing to see it through a different lens.
Yes. And this is where the idea of acceptance comes in. It doesn't mean liking or approving of what happened,
Right.
but it does mean acknowledging it happened and recognizing we can't change it.
That makes sense.
Hmm.
It's about accepting reality without letting it define us.
Right. And that acceptance can be a powerful catalyst for healing and growth.
Yeah.
It allows us to finally put down that heavy backpack and move forward with a sense of freedom.
I love that imagery. It
Yeah.
really paints a picture of what it feels like to let go of that burden.
Yeah.
And that freedom, as you said, can then be channeled into more positive things. Our relationships, our work, our personal growth. It's like forgiveness opens up space for new possibilities.
It absolutely does. We've focused a lot on the individual benefits of forgiveness,
Yeah.
but there's also a ripple effect that extends to our
Oh,
relationships.
for sure. When we let go of anger and resentment, we create space for compassion and understanding,
Exactly.
which are essential ingredients for healthy connections.
Right. And even if a relationship can't be fully restored, forgiveness allows us to interact with the other person without all that baggage weighing us down.
Hmm.
We can set boundaries, protect ourselves, but not let past hurts dictate our present interactions.
So it's about choosing how we respond
Yes.
rather than reacting from a place of pain.
Exactly. And sometimes the most crucial relationship we need to mend is the one we have with ourselves.
Self-forgiveness.
Yeah,
On beyond the surface, we often talk about the importance of self-compassion.
it does.
And this ties in perfectly.
It does. We can be our own worst critics, holding ourselves to incredibly high standards and judging our mistakes harshly.
Oh, yeah.
But just like we practice empathy towards others, we can learn to extend that same compassion to ourselves. Recognize that we're human, we make mistakes.
Right.
And those mistakes don't define our worth.
It's about giving ourselves permission to be imperfect, to learn from our experiences, and to move forward with grace.
Beautifully put. And I think the practical steps we outlined earlier, acknowledging the hurt, shifting our perspective, practicing empathy, apply equally to self-forgiveness.
Oh,
It's about treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding we would offer to a loved one who's struggling.
I love that reminder. So often we're much harder on ourselves than we would ever be on anyone else.
We are, and remember, self-forgiveness is a process just like forgiving others. Some days will be easier than others, and that's okay.
Progress, not perfection. Right.
Exactly. Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to circle back to accountability. I know some people worry that if they forgive someone, it lets the other person off the hook.
It's a valid concern. Forgiveness and accountability can feel like they're at odds with each other.
But they're not mutually exclusive. In fact, sometimes forgiveness is what allows us to hold someone accountable in a healthier and more constructive way.
As we're not letting anger cloud our judgment.
Precisely. When we're consumed by resentment, it's hard to see clearly or communicate our needs effectively. But when we've done the work of forgiveness, we can approach the situation from a calmer, more centered place. We can set healthier boundaries, advocate for ourselves, or even seek justice if that's appropriate.
So forgiveness empowers us to act not from a place of anger, but from a place of strength and clarity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about reclaiming our power and choosing peace over pain.
That's such a powerful message and a crucial distinction to make. Forgiveness doesn't equal condoning or forgetting. It's about choosing freedom and healing.
Absolutely.
So as we move into the final part of our deep dive, I'd like you to consider this. What would it look like for you to start practicing more forgiveness in your own life?
What small step could you take today to lighten your load and create more space for peace and healing?
We'll explore some more practical tips and insights in just a moment, so stay tuned. Welcome back to our deep dive into forgiveness and mental health.
We've explored the science, the benefits, the practical steps.
But now let's talk about what can be the toughest part,
Yeah.
actually letting go.
It's true. Letting go of those deep-seated hurts and resentments, that can feel so challenging.
Yeah, it's like we're clinging to them, even though we know they're causing us pain.
We are. It's almost as if those hurts have become a part of us,
Yeah.
a part of our identity.
So how do we even begin to untangle that? How do we separate those past hurts from our present selves?
I think the first step is recognizing that we have a choice.
Okay.
We can choose to hold on to the pain, or we can choose to let it go.
Right.
And that choice is incredibly empowering.
It's like we're taking back control of our story, rewriting the narrative that's been holding us back.
Exactly. We're no longer letting those past experiences dictate our present emotions or our future well-being.
Yeah.
We're choosing freedom.
Forgiveness is a path to freedom. I love that. But I imagine it's not always a one-time decision, is it?
You're right. Letting go is often a practice, not a single event.
Okay.
Some days we might feel that anger and resentment creeping back in.
Yeah.
That's normal. The key is to notice it, acknowledge it,
Uh-huh.
and gently guide our thoughts and emotions back towards forgiveness.
So it's like building a muscle.
It is.
The more we practice forgiveness, the stronger we become at letting go.
That's a great analogy. And there are so many tools and techniques we can use to help us along the way.
I like what?
Well, meditation, mindfulness journaling, even spending time in nature.
Yeah.
These can all help cultivate a sense of peace and acceptance.
And of course, as we've mentioned before, seeking support from a therapist or a trusted friend can be incredibly valuable.
Absolutely. We don't have to do this alone.
Now, as we wrap up our deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
We've talked about the personal benefits of forgiveness, but I think it's important to recognize the ripple effect it can have on the world around us.
That's a beautiful point. When we choose to forgive, we're not just healing ourselves.
Right.
We're contributing to a more compassionate and understanding world.
It's like we're breaking a chain of hurt and resentment, replacing it with kindness and empathy.
Exactly. And who knows, our act of forgiveness might inspire others to do the same. It's a powerful thought.
It really is. So as you go about your day, consider where you might be holding on to anger or resentment. Ask yourself, what would it feel like to let go? What new possibilities might emerge?
What small step could you take today to lighten your load and embrace the transformative power of forgiveness?
This has been such an insightful conversation. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into forgiveness and mental health. We hope you found it valuable. And remember, forgiveness is a journey, not a destination. Every step you take towards letting go is a victory. And for more episodes like this one, you can find us right here on Spotify. We also encourage you to check Beyond the Surface, where we explore a wide range of topics related to personal growth and well-being. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. And if you're ready for more thought-provoking conversations, be sure to subscribe to Beyond the Surface for more deep dives. We'll catch you next time.